Good morning. I want to get on here and do a quick update. I've been doing some media stuff this morning, so I figured it'd be a good time to, since everything's set up, to kind of check in, see how everybody's doing. It's been a while. I hope you guys are having a good summer. If you're doing well, but I want to just kind of do a touch base. And so some of the things I want to kind of have on your radar is obviously the background check queue has gone to 0, which I think is kind of suspect ahead of the state hearing or state trial in Harney County. And so I think this is the Oregon State Police, playing games, with law-abiding citizens. Obviously, when there was a mad rush, they just drug their feet, and now they've cleared up the system ahead of trial. So that way that when the attorney general shows up and their attorneys, they can say, hey, look, we have nobody in the queue. We can do these background checks so we can issue these permits to purchase. And obviously, this is kind of my conspiracy theory, but I don't think I'm off the mark here. I think so. You guys can hear me. Hi. I hope you guys are doing good. So that's kind of what I wanted to touch base about is we got to look at, what's, the big picture here, since what happened in federal court, there's more weight on the state shoulders and in state court. And so we just got to make sure that we're up to date with what's happening there. I believe the trial is going to start on September 18th and it's going to go to the 25th, and that's going to be in Harney County. So I'm going to try to be over there. I have to go to Arizona, so I'm not going to be able to be there for the whole time. But it's going to be really, really important as we're watching and paying attention. There's going to be live streams, so we'll share those links to make sure everybody, knows, what's happening. We got to keep this stuff in front of us. And so just something to be aware of. And that's one thing I'm kind of looking at. I'm looking at, what's happening, because it's either people are not afraid to buy guns now, or they've quit buying guns. So that's why the queue is cleared up. And my concern is how they're going to use that against us, and how they're going to say, hey, look, we can run all these gun owners through the background check process now, because now we have all this room in the queue so they can get their permits to purchase, so that's something I want to really kind of be kind of looking at and watching those queues. And so, we should probably do, every week or so is have an FFL, give us the, what the queue's at, so we can kind of keep track of that, so we can watch it going forward, so, just something that I want on your radar. I hope everything's going good. I've been busy, which has been nice. It's been nice not necessarily having a break from all the advocacy stuff that I typically do. And so it's been nice to kind of focus on other stuff. And, I hope we're still engaged, and I hope when it's time, we can still, clock back in and go to work. But, it's been nice to kind of have some downtime. So, that's kind of where I'm at. So, hope everybody hears this. Hope you guys are doing good. And, that's kind of where I'm at is just keep up to date, and just make sure, there's been a lot of stuff coming into the group where, we are kind of watching what's happening around the country. There's a lot of decisions that are being made at either the Supreme Court level. We had stuff with the ATF that got, knocked down, which is good. So there's been some victories. So there's some positive things that we can focus on, but obviously we still have to prepare for what's coming. And that's going to be in September. And so, it's going to be similar to what happened with the federal court, where it could be a month or so until we get the official ruling. So it could be October, beginning of November, until we know for sure what's going to happen with our fate. So one thing to think about, if this thing does go into effect, it's going to affect our magazine capacity. It's going to affect our ability to buy magazines that are standard capacity. So that's something that has a, detachable base plate that holds, 6 or more rounds, so just something to think about. So if you guys want to maybe stock up now, just in case, if there's any purchases that you've been eyeing for a while, maybe if you can do it now. So that way, heaven forbid something doesn't go in our favor, we don't lose our ability to buy a firearm without going into a database, because that's what they're going to be doing. Is they're going to be creating a database with this permit to purchase, so be aware of that. So every gun that's going to be sold, through an FFL, if this thing, goes into effect, is they're going to have a permit to purchase to take possession of that. They're also going to have to, everything's going to go into a new database where they're going to be keeping track of all the serial numbers. That way they know where these guns are at all times. And, so the problem with that is, registration leads to confiscation, because none of these laws are going to make society safer. This is just going to make all of us more vulnerable, so that's kind of where I'm at. So you just got to be aware of that. So, I'm trying to be optimistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic, if that makes sense. And so, we just have to know, there's a lot of stuff that doesn't necessarily make sense, and we're hoping that it just doesn't go into effect. I haven't seen anything from Lift Every Voice in the last couple of days, ever since, the federal court, and which is good. They're probably celebrating. I am working on some things on the back end to kind of counter this. And so once I kind of have some people in place, then and it all depends on what happens in trial. If we lose, we're going to have to do something different. We're going to have to do something drastic. And so, that's what I'm kind of working on is, what does that look like? What can we do as a group where we can kind of, divide and conquer the work that needs to be done to get something in place. And so probably the best bet would be a ballot initiative to counter, Measure 114. And so that's something that probably we should be looking at that for Measure 110, which is the drug measure. And we should also be looking at 114. And those two, those should be an easy, they only won by less than 1%. And I feel that there's enough outrage that we could probably turn this in a direction for our benefit going forward. And so, that's kind of the thing. So, there's just lots to do. And I just want to make sure you guys are still here. So if you're still here, let me know, because I don't see any comments. So I appreciate it. So, that's kind of the thing. So, let's make sure that, take some time off and regroup, but we also need to show up when it's time again. I know it's not easy and not fun. So, but it's something we have to do, because if we don't do it, they're going to continue to win. And so thank you guys. I appreciate it. So that's kind of where I'm at, is I'm not seeing this tech. So thank you, David. So that's where I'm at. Absolutely, Andy. How we doing, Andy? Sorry to hear about your horse. I heard you lost a horse. That's horrible. So I hope everything's going well with the family. You guys did really good work over there in Eastern Oregon. And so, that's the thing, is we got to figure out what we're going to do. Hopefully everything holds in Harney County, and we just, kick that can down the road to the Ninth Circuit, and let's hope that, that's going to give us what we need. Hey, Brock. So I'm glad you guys tuned in. I haven't been doing these as often because I've been kind of taking some time, which has been nice, but I miss the conversations. So I hope you guys miss the conversations too, because I feel like we always solve all the world's, problems here, right? No, I'm just kidding. We don't, but we try, and that's what it's all about. So, I'm one of my concerns, and I talked about it earlier, is Oregon State Police playing games with the background check system. And I'm seeing that the background check system's gone to zero, right? And so my fear is what they're trying to do is they're trying to sell it where they can keep up with the fact that there's probably 1 million gun owners in the state of Oregon, right? So they're not thinking, they're thinking that they can keep up, but they can't keep up, even though they don't have the program in place yet, to be able to, you know, have everybody go through this process to get a permit to purchase a firearm. So something to think about. 2005 it went to effect. Okay, so that means we have 1 year to serialize an 80% gun that we built. Okay, so you have until September of next year to make sure that that is registered with the state of Oregon. Okay, so one thing to think about: if Measure 114 goes into effect and you have to have a permit to purchase, when you take that gun in to be serialized, okay, so you can be compliant with 2005, you're going to have a permit to purchase to get that gun back, and a background check, right? To get that gun back from that FFL that was doing the serialization of that firearm. And, thank you, Mike. I really appreciate you, man. And so, I'm glad to have you guys here. Glad to have your support. So that's one thing that's really, they're going to ensnare and entrap a lot of people, where people are going to say, well, dang it, I need to be able to get my gun back, and this is the hoops that I have to do to get the gun back. So now that gun's going to be registered. Now I'm going to have a permit to purchase. So it is a mess. And so, just be aware of that. This is all by design. This is all designed to ensnare you. This is going to do nothing for criminals. Criminals are still going to have guns. They're still going to be building their guns. They're still going to be committing these gun crimes, and you're going to be held to a higher standard. Yes. Good. Jim. Right there. So if you buy them now. Okay. You can buy them, go through the background check. You can like, I know guys that buy 10, 20 of them at a time, and they go through the background check once, because you can do that on one background check, pay $10. And because every serial number can be listed on there. And then they just put them up in their safe, and they just build them out as they go. Okay. So the only thing that's going to be registered is going to be the serialized part, which is the lower receiver. So, go ahead and buy those now and just sit on them. I mean, they're not going to go down in value, especially so $39. Wow. So, that's probably like an Anderson lower, but that's a deal. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Brown shirts for sure. That's what they're trying to do. They're trying to create a Gestapo, and that's what they're going to do. And so, we have to be smart, and we have to work. And Glock lower, huh? Interesting. That's a good deal. $39. That's a good deal. It depends. Oh, Jeff. Awesome. So it's basically it's going to be a waiting game. And so since you're in Harney County, if you can be in Burns for the court hearing, that would be great. So that's one thing that I would be planning, is if you could schedule some time off where you could be there and be inside the courtroom, that would really help me out. And if you could, take notes and send them to me, and that way we can kind of give, because I'm not going to be able to be there the whole time, because I'm going to have to go to Arizona for an event. And so I'm going to miss, which I hate to miss, but I have to be there. And yeah, that's a smoking deal. And so we can set that up. That would be great, Jeff. And that way we have eyes and ears inside the courtroom. That way we can watch the body language. That way we can take notes. And so, that's going to be great. That's if you can do that, that'd be awesome. That way we can plan where you could, schedule some time to be off from, if you can do that from work, obviously. But that's what we really need. I'll try to be there the beginning of it, but I'm going to have to come back to make sure that I can get, because I got a lot of moving parts for my trip. So, that's awesome. Oh, perfect. Perfect, Jeff. That's awesome. I really appreciate that. So the day for Harney County tentatively is going to be September 18th to the 25th. I think that's what it's scheduled for. As we get closer and I have all the dates firmed up, I'll let you guys know. I'll give you guys plenty of notice. That way we can make arrangements to be there to support our side, right? This is everything is on this case. Like this is huge. There's going to be a different challenge, which is good for us because, you know, basically the only thing they're going to be arguing when it comes to the permitting regime and the magazine capacity is how it relates to the Oregon Constitution, which is Section 1, Article 27, the Oregon Constitution, which talks about we have a right to keep and bear arms under the state constitution. And so, you know, that's great. So, you know, that's kind of where I want to make sure that we, you know, keep that in our minds. And so that could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. But what I'm seeing right now, we're looking for optics, right? Everything's optics because, you know, what they're going to do is they're going to use the meeting as we get closer to court. What they're going to do is now the media is going to start using and they're going to start weaponizing the Oregon State Police against gun owners. They're going to say, hey, look, we don't have anybody. Nobody's in the queue. We are ready to go to issue these permits to purchase. We are ready to go, even though they do not have the entire program ready to go because they do not have the live fire component ready. Okay. And so, Lonnie, this is a mythical question because in theory, there's no permit to purchase program ready to go. So in theory, you should be able to go to the law enforcement, either in your county or city. They're the ones that are supposed to be able to issue this permit, yet they do not have the training in place for you to do so. So this is something that, you know, you can go online, you can take part of the class, you can put in your information into a database and be partially through the program, but you're not going to be able to get the permit to purchase. And so, you know, it's a scam. It is a scam. It is. So we have to understand that. Okay. So this will not affect suppressors. Okay. The one thing that I really enjoy about Oregon is in Oregon, a suppressor is not considered a firearm. And so we don't technically have to have a 4473 filled out for a suppressor. We just have to have a Form 1 or a Form 4, depending on how we do it. Those are the ones, and those go to the federal ATF. So absolutely, it's a complete scam. And so my thing, here's my deal. And I want, like, can I get some solidarity here? Okay. I'm not going to play their game. Okay. I'm not going to go into a database. I am not going to jump through these hoops because I'm a law-abiding citizen. So if that means I'm not going to buy a firearm after this thing, if this thing does go into effect, then I'm not going to buy a firearm. That's the thing, is I'm not going to play their games. I'm not going to subject myself to a permitting agent looking through my social media and saying whether I should be able to purchase a firearm or not. Okay. All that stuff is in the permitting process. I'm not going to play their game. Okay. So you have to, like, I think the best thing that we can do together is to stand together shoulder to shoulder and say, nope, we're not going to play your game. And so if that means, I mean, the hard part is how it's going to affect our FFLs. And so I guess I didn't think that out. Didn't think that through, because I don't want to see our guys lose their businesses. I don't want to see them lose their livelihoods. I support my FFLs when they support me and my rights. You know, that's tough. So maybe that's something we need to kind of think about. How do we maneuver in this situation to protect our FFLs that we need? Because we need FFLs. We need people to be able to transfer. Absolutely. Yeah, Jim. And so maybe I need to change that approach. I got to figure that out. What makes sense? What makes sense to us? You know, how do we support our FFLs yet protect our anonymity? Because it's not the government's right to know where our guns are at all times. You know, we have a 2A right for a reason. Okay. It's a right to keep and bear arms. Okay. It has nothing to do with regulation or registration. Okay. We have, you know, and so the tricky part is, how do we protect our FFLs? You know, because we need them. That's, you know, we need law-abiding citizens to be able to buy a firearm when, you know, so it's tricky. Like, you know, so we got to figure that out. Or we can purchase that, you know, ammo. Problem is, ammo is probably not enough to keep some of these guys in business, so that's going to be a challenge. So we should figure that out. So really, really should. And because I definitely don't want to see anybody go out of business. And but like, how do we make a stand? I mean, how do we as gun owners say, hey, no, we're not going to play this game? You guys, I mean, the only way that I see this, right, is if we fight back. And the way we fight back is and I've been working on the language in my off time, is write a ballot initiative. We write an initiative that counters and basically strikes down Measure 114. And I think, we would need 140, 160,000 signatures, for to go on the ballot, and then we would have to work really, really hard to sell this. And we'd have to sell this as, the whole state of Oregon they were sold a fake bill of goods by these charlatans with Measure 114. And so I think there's been enough inconvenience that it woke up a lot of people that didn't think that this was going to affect them. And I'm hoping that we can get their votes the second time, and we can throw this thing out. So that's something that we gotta think about is how we use this group and this network that we've developed over the last year and a half, is how we weaponize it and use it for good. And we can say it's going to be a cost savings to the state. I mean, it's going to cost, $50 million a year for Measure 114 being implemented. They don't even have the manpower. They don't have the staffing. On paper, it is a loser. The only ones that are pushing this are the charlatans and the attorney general. Everywhere else, this does not make sense to the state of Oregon. And so, I think that's what we have working in our favor. And so, it's tough. It's really tough, and it's just something where we're not out of the woods, and so. Yep. 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 That's the thing. That's the thing. So I don't know what that looks like, and I'm bringing this stuff up for, just kind of spitballing with you guys, just kind of a touch base to kind of see where we're at and, what we do, and, have things kind of on your radar, so we don't forget about them, so yeah, it's tough. So, my fear is, we don't get the ruling that we need, then, my 17 round magazine is going to be illegal. I'm going to be a criminal for having possession of that, and then I'm going to have a permit to purchase, so there's a lot of things that are going to affect our way of life if this thing goes into effect. So, pray, make sure you stay up to date. And, as we get closer, as things free up for me, I'll be doing more of these and kind of, getting people back involved. I feel kind of betrayed by the Republicans when it came to 2005. And because I feel that, they had this, they did this photo op. I don't know if you caught that or not. Well, they did this photo op where they had this check for $25,000 that said, House Bill 2005 lawsuit. Right. And so, well, this lawsuit, where's it at? This 2005 is now law of the land. We have until September to comply with the law, make sure that our stuff is registered and serialized. Yet where is the lawsuit? Okay, the lawsuit. And obviously, $25,000 in a lawsuit is a drop in the bucket. It's enough to maybe file the judgment, right? But, where's the starting process? And I feel kind of betrayed. And so, I'm hoping, and when I've reached out, like, where are we at on this? I've got no response. And so just something to think about, with these elections coming up, it's really, really important that we have good candidates that can run. We have good candidates that can win, and we make sure that we vote and maybe make changes. I mean, if these people are going to run and do this photo op and and then not follow through and not follow a lawsuit like they said they were going to do, maybe that's, we got to get them gone. So just something to think about. But I'm disappointed that I haven't seen any talks about a lawsuit. And that's the whole thing, is they came back 6 days early, and they said they're going to do this. They had this photo op, and then there's nothing. And so, that's, these people expect us to fight for them and to do this and to donate and do all this stuff. We need them to follow through. Yeah, you're right. So it's not every FFL can do that. It's typically it's a SOT that can serialize, and so that's the thing is there's some FFLs that are already set up for this, some are not, and so that's going to be a challenge as well. So just be aware. So that's if you play the 80% game. So that's the thing. And some are not going to do it. Some are, there's just so much red tape. They've made it so difficult for us to be law abiding, and they expect us to be law abiding, yet like there's all these hoops that we have to jump through. So it's a mess. So other than that, I just want to do a check-in. I like this one. It's a typical. So what's rebellion look like? Yes. Give me 1 second. Jerry, give me 1 second. So what does this look like to you? Explain this to me. What kind of rebellion are we talking about? And so we have 1 year. We have until September of 2024 to make sure 80%ers are serialized in the state of Oregon. And so that's, so that was the nice thing. So it was an emergency clause, but they gave us a year to comply. So amazing. Good stuff. So organized protest. Okay. Is that ever been effective? Or would that be effective today? So, that's, that's that. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm here to help. I hope that helped. I tell you what, the most effective protest that I've ever been a part of was when we had all those log trucks and I was inside the building and I was doing my meetings, and those air horns, those were literally the most effective protest I've ever had or ever heard or ever seen. Because you had people literally melting down because of the noise. It was hilarious. So is something like that, which we don't necessarily have the infrastructure to do because that was a different organization that did that, but that was powerful. So, just to file that one for later on. So, so, so other than that, I mean, how are we doing? You guys having a good summer? You guys been doing any shooting? I've been doing some shooting, and I've been like doing a lot of long range stuff, and I've really, really enjoyed that. So that's been fun. So I'm hoping to go out to 1,000 yards. Portable air horns. Problem is they're not as loud, and they are good. They're not as loud, and the problem is they run out of air, and so the best part about the log trucks is they have compressors. It's running all the time when the truck's running, and so they never run out of air. And so it's literally it's a never ending supply of air for air horns. It was pretty awesome. I mean, it was really loud. I mean, and they would make hot laps around the building, and as soon as they got to the chambers, they would and it was. I mean, I'm amazed that pictures weren't coming off the walls. It was spectacular. I highly encourage you guys check it out next time, if there is a next time. So, but yeah, it was great. So, I appreciate you guys tuning in. I appreciate you guys commenting. I appreciate you guys being here, and I'm hoping that we can turn this into something, and we just continue to figure out how we maneuver here, and it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, it's going to take energy, it's going to take all of us getting involved in some facet, absolutely, Candy. I mean, I think it's the hardest part, Candy, is when the legislature is not in session, so it's hard for us to do so then. So it's like we have to kind of see when the session is going to be back in session, and then figuring out how we rally people to show up, because that's still going to be a tough sell, is getting people to take days off work and travel. And, so it's in theory, it makes a lot of sense, but it's like, it's always the moving parts, and so, I feel that, if we didn't have people show up for what we went through with 2005, 2002, 2007, we're not going to get people for any other reason. I mean, 2002 alone, we should have had multiple rallies on that to protect our kids. It's tough. It's really tough. Yeah, retired is good. So if we could tap into that, people that are retired, and help support the people that are retired. And so maybe, we have this in like little stages, right? 100% right here. That's why they introduced that paramilitary bill. And that one went into it. That was signed into law too, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to paint us as radicals, and so, it's everything's optics for them. It's how and then they use the media to paint us in this broad brush that we're all, crazy people, that we love our guns more than we love kids. And we would rather, it's insane. It's literally insane. And so, well, they've done everything to put you in handcuffs. So, maybe we should try a different approach, and I know every one of us is law abiding, and we don't want to get in trouble. But at this point, we can no longer be law abiding because there's so many dang laws. And so now we have to be responsible. So what does responsible look like? So responsible means that we understand the ramifications for our actions. We try to be as law abiding as we can, yada, yada, yada. I'm not saying I do this, but I'm just saying this is what it looks like. And so, the hardest part for me in watching you guys and my neighbors and the people that I care about in this group is the fact that your voice doesn't matter, and they want to criminalize something that you do every day lawfully. Yet what's happening up in Portland, with these illegal guns and these criminals with guns, none of that is going to be affected with these new laws. Only you're going to be affected. And now it's actually going to be more dangerous for you to be able to defend yourself and your family. It's a mess. And so that's why, feels like our only option is to not comply. I can't tell you, I can only speak for myself, and I can only speak for how I want to proceed. And I can't speak for you. And, so, that's the thing, so Harney County, Candy, that's going to be September 18th to the 25th. And so that's literally our last hope for right now. Until we have official appeals accepted in the Ninth Circuit, which is San Francisco. So, hopefully we'll win. one thing I want to be mindful of is what the Oregon State Police has just done with the background check system. They've gotten that queue down to 0. And so now what they're trying to do is say that, hey, we're ready to have people do their permit to purchase. In the beginning of this, we had 22 to 40,000 people in the background check queue. It would have been impossible for them to prove that they're ready for this next step of this process, the permit to purchase process. And so now that they've basically deleted all of these 4473s, and the way I look at it is they've deleted the 4473s that have gone over 30 days in the queue. So what they've done is they've drugged their feet because they're unorganized, they're unsupported, and they've let all these 4473s time out. And then what they'll do is they'll delete them from the background check queue. So you have people that have been waiting 60 days that they're waiting for this call, yet they've been deleted. And so now they have to start back over. And so now the queue's at 0, which looks really, really good for them when ahead of court, because when they're going into trial in Harney County, that there's 20,000 people in the queue, that doesn't look good for them. That doesn't look good for the state. And so now they can say, hey, we have this in position where we can manage the workload. Which is, it's all smoke and mirrors. It is all smoke and mirrors. You guys have to see it from an optic standpoint. You have to see it from a big picture standpoint. This is all smoke and mirrors. It's very suspect that they've cleared up this queue literally a month and a half before court. Okay. Don't buy it for a second. They're not ready. They don't have the live fire component ready to go. They have nothing ready. Okay. Don't be mistaken here. So, that's kind of where I'm at. Let's look at Matt Roberts. 100%, Matt. I can't love this comment enough. I cannot. We had 180,000 Republicans that stayed home in November. 180,000. We would not even be talking about a Kotek governorship. We would not be talking about Measure 114 if we would have just shown up. And so, no, here, I'll get back to you in just a second, Lonnie. So, that's the hardest part. Every vote does count if we cast it. And that's where we have to get better. And we have to understand we have to get to that ballot box. Okay. We can no longer just sit on the sidelines and think that our voice doesn't matter, because it really does. We lost by less than 20,000 votes with Measure 114, and so, that's where, these rural counties, these counties that felt that their voices don't matter, they really do. And so we just got to change that mindset. We got to make sure that we show up, because if we don't show up, we can't complain about the results. And that's the biggest thing here. And so, that's a great comment. Thank you, Matt, for that. So what they can do, though, is they time out. So on the 4473 form that you fill out, it's only good for 30 days. Okay. So if it gets to 30 days, then they have to rerun it. Okay. So typically you're going to have to go back in there. You're going to have to fill out, you're going to have to sign on that 4473 with a new date, and then would have to resubmit it. Okay. So that's what they're banking on. What they're doing is they're banking on people just trickling in because it's been 60 days. And that way they can manage those people. Okay. They don't want to deal with 20,000 people in the queue because that makes them look bad. They want to deal with the 100 or so that come in because they know it's expired. Then they redo the paperwork. Then they go back in the queue, and then they get approved. That's what they're doing. It's like 3-card money. It's all it is. Okay. They're just moving stuff around. That's all they're doing. They're using the ATF to their advantage, because that's what it says on the 4473 form. When you fill that out, it's good for 30 days. So that's what's happening. It's completely legal. There's nothing we can do about it. It's funny business. That's all it is. So, that's kind of where I'm at. So don't believe it. We have to change that. We have to show up, and we have to motivate our neighbors and our friends and the people in our networks to make sure that they show up and vote. It's the best thing we can do. So, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm gonna get off here pretty soon, unless you guys have anything pressing. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. It's been good speaking with you guys. I miss talking to you guys because many of you guys have become friends, and I really appreciate you guys and respect you, and I'm glad to be here with you. And I'm hoping that we can stop this stuff, So that's kind of where I'm at. So yeah, thank you, Jim. So, but I'll keep you guys up to date. Is anything new? What I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up before I get off here. So I have friends in my network from all over the country, right? And what I'm thinking of doing is to open it up to them where they can drop content directly into the group, to give fresh perspective, to give different stuff from all over the country, so we can kind of see what the country's facing. What does that interest any of you guys? I mean, I could bring in like AWR Hawkins. I talked to him. There's some other guys that I respect that I would bring in. Probably these guys are going to be journalists. These guys are going to be people that either do media, just to give fresh perspective, and you can learn something new. So what do you guys think about that? This is kind of something I'm thinking about doing. To kind of it kind of helps me a little bit, because it takes some of the pressure off me for because I want stuff that goes into the group that's relevant, that's educational, that actually helps us get better at what we're doing. And so that's why I don't want to just throw, garbage into the group, because I feel it kind of takes away from what we're trying to do. And so I want to always bring value. And so that's why I'm thinking, well, maybe if I bring these people, that bring in some fresh stuff, some fresh ideas, and just kind of see how it goes. If it doesn't work out, then we can always just kick them out. It's not a big deal. I mean, I do it in a respectful way, of course, because I respect them. But, I'd love to, get Colin Noir in here and just have him be able to drop stuff in here and, share directly, so just something that I'm thinking about. And I just want to make sure. Yeah, for sure. That's new angles. That's where I think, which is something going to be really, really important for us, going forward. And absolutely. Yeah. Thanks, Chris. Brian, thank you for this. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Marion County, right? So the CHLs, that process is already in statute. They already have a system in place. Okay. The problem with that, okay, is the county sheriffs, they take in the information, they do the background check, they punt that to Oregon State Police. Oregon State Police helps with the background check process. Okay. So, we're talking about so that's the thing, so, they're obviously they can't handle it, because they only have one or two people probably in most departments that are handling this, depending on the size of the county. And so, they are definitely short staffed. They're overwhelmed. They're trying to delay it as best they can. But in this situation, they're going to punt all this information for the background check, for the permit to purchase process, to the Oregon State Police. So that's why the Oregon State Police is trying to play a hero right now and say that they have everything's going swimmingly for them, but it's because they're being dishonest. That's what they're doing. They're using a technicality to their advantage, and there's a lot of people that are caught in limbo. And so, yeah, absolutely. That's what so that's kind of where we're at, so just be aware of that. So that the CHL guys, that's already part of the statute. They already have the process. They're already being charged for that. They just don't have the infrastructure, without the Oregon State Police to do this. Yeah. So bring on guest speakers, Yes, that's absolutely. I need to get back to that. I've just been going 80 different directions, but yeah, I like that idea. So thank you. Let's talk about this one. So Ryan, what are you talking about? What change are you referring to? Um, what are they doing different for 2024? Is that through the Oregon State Police or is that through the legislature? Let me know. So, excuse me. So, so, um, so that's kind of where I'm at. So, I don't know exactly what. Yeah, they're trying every day to change everything up for us. I mean, they don't want us to be comfortable because when we get comfortable, then we show up. So they don't want us to show up. So they want us to feel sorry for ourselves and not be engaged. So um, that's kind of where I'm at. So let's make sure that we, you know, just stay up to date. Stay in. Just know that this fight is not over. This fight is going to go on for a very very long time, and we just stay. We have to stay in the fight. That's all that we can. All we can do is fight forward. Fight forward. And we're going to fight towards, September, and hopefully we get the victory that we need. And this is just going to be, they spent millions of dollars for nothing. That's going to be hilarious. And so, but ultimately it's going to be appealed if we do win. So don't, they don't want a loss here. They would look too bad across the country. So they think they're heroes right now, but they're really zeros. So I hope you guys have a good day. Thanks for tuning in. I'm gonna get off here, and you guys have a great day. And I'm gonna leave you with this. We're gonna fight. We're gonna fight to the end. Okay. And if we don't win, we're gonna change our tactics and we're gonna fight again because we're not gonna give up. Okay. We're in this together, and together we're gonna win. So, thank you guys. I'll talk to you soon. Have a great day.